morning, y'all. I feel like I always start every one of these things and a daggone car, which I don't know like what that even means, but I am so running late this morning. I was supposed to be at physical therapy and I'm running a few minutes behind. I do have PT this morning, but I'm running behind because, you know, working with a toddler is always fun. Having a toddler is fun all the time. When they don't want to do stuff, they push back and it's stressful. Anyway, so this is literally the first check-in. I really have not been reading much this week because I have been excessively busy this week, not just with work, but like with other personal things. So I haven't really gotten much reading time in. I have finished 2 things, but they're kind of a flow over from last week. So the first thing that I ended up finishing was A Romantic Agenda by Claire Kahn. This is a adult contemporary romance of sorts. It is good in the sense that, let me tell you what I enjoyed about it. So it is about a woman who's asexual, who's pretty much in love with her best friend. They've been friends for a very long time. They've kind of like expressed that it's been clear that they've had feelings for each other at one point, but like it hasn't been completely and totally clarified. So basically what ends up happening is that one of the characters, the supposed pine love interest, he's not our hero, but it's our heroine's love interest, the best friend. I don't know why I didn't just say the best friend. He decides that he's going to go on a trip or whatever, and she thought it was for them to have a romantic getaway, and it actually was for him and another woman. And so we really spend a good portion of the book with her trying to navigate her feelings towards him and trying to establish some type of boundaries in their relationship, because he's been in relationships in the past, they haven't worked out, simply because of the fact that she kind of is a threat to a lot of his relationships. A lot of women are not comfortable with how close they are, which is understandable, because a lot of people can kind of tell that like they love each other, and not just like in a friendship way, like they are in love with each other, but they just can't ever seem to get it together. So when he tries to move on to relationships, she seemingly always gets in the way. So he's also asexual, which I think is really interesting, and that's one of the components that I've really liked about this book, is that both our heroine and the person that she's finding out, her best friend, they're both asexual. And what Claire Kahn does very well is illustrate the fact that asexuality exists on a spectrum, and that it's not just all black and white, and not all asexual people are sex repulsed. And so there's this section in which the best friend, the guy, his love interest, she is asking questions about being asexual and really admitting that it's kind of hard for her to wrap her mind around. Like, she gets it, but when you live in a society that's so heavily like sexually oriented, in the sense that, not sexual orientation, but like when you push sex all the time, it can be hard, once you've been conditioned to see that all the time, it can be kind of hard to navigate the fact or the idea that someone can exist in this society and not have sexual attraction. And I also love that our heroine really dived into the conversation about what it means to not have sexual attraction but still have a sexual drive, which really reminded me of that book Ace. And if you haven't read Ace before by Angela Chen, it's one that I highly recommend. It definitely is one of those things where it's like people can't differentiate the meanings behind sexual drive and sexual attraction, and that there are people who are ace that don't have sexual attraction. Like, they don't look at someone and say like, oh my gosh, I want to bang that person, but they do have a sexual drive. They need to have a sexual release, and people can't get that. People can't wrap their minds around that. I think Angela Chen does a really good job of explaining that in like a nonfiction setting, but I think that Claire Kahn does it very well in what I would consider a fictional romantic setting. And so watching the two of them navigate their asexuality differently because of the fact that they exist on a spectrum was really, truly, like, it was rewarding, and I really appreciated that. Now, the downside to this book, and the reason why I am sifting between a 3 and a 3.5 star, I will make a final decision when I sit down and I write my review. The reason why I am struggling so much with it is that we spend like 75% of the book with our heroine trying to figure out her feelings and relationship with her best friend. So by the time we get to the actual love interest, it just didn't feel legitimate to me. And I know that probably is kind of awkward to say, but I think that it's because the pacing of it was off. It either needed to happen sooner in the context of the story, or the story needed to be longer, because it just didn't. When you spend so much time heavily focused on one relationship, when you quickly sift to another relationship, especially in a romance book, it just doesn't feel legitimate. It doesn't feel authentic. And I'm not talking about that in the terms of how our heroine processes her feelings for this new guy Fox with, look at me remembering somebody's name, bitch. But not in how she's processing her feelings for Fox in terms of her asexuality. That has nothing to do with it. It's the simple fact that I just don't think that we got to see enough of that process for a long enough period of time, if that makes sense. So, like I said, I'm sitting between a 3.5. I think that a lot of people are going to enjoy the conversation about the asexuality and how it fits on the spectrum. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy that, which people should enjoy that. I think that it definitely does give a great perspective of asexuality on a spectrum. I don't know how much people are going to like our heroine, because she does spend a great portion of the book also hating on her best friend's love interest. So it's one of those things where it's like she's very territorial, and she literally is finding any justification and reason to not like this other woman. So it's kind of it's a rocky type of situation in terms of character likability as well, but I can appreciate certain aspects of it. So just a solid standard, not a favorite, not the worst book that I've ever read either. I also ended up finishing Heartstopper Volume 2, which I absolutely adored. It's just a continuation of Volume 1, where we get to see their relationship between Nick and Charlie. We get to see their relationship expand, and I just have fallen more in love with these characters. I think they're absolutely adorable. I could not stop myself from smiling. I don't have my physical copy with me right now, but there were portions of it that I was actually tabbing with really, really cute moments. And I love that Charlie is essentially extremely supportive of Nick. He is the type of person that understands that Nick is trying to figure out, one, what his sexual orientation is. He doesn't know, in the beginning, if he's gay, if he's straight, if he's bisexual. He's trying to figure it out, and he doesn't want to come out until he figures out his own identity. And I like that Charlie reassures him that their relationship as it stands is fine. They don't have to go public with their relationship, because he understands that Nick is trying to figure out who he is, and he doesn't want Nick to compare himself to Ben, because Ben was trying to keep their relationship quiet, but Ben was being selfish about it. It had nothing to do with the same reasons as Nick. And I'm so happy that through this entire volume, we really get to see Nick process how he identifies and how he wants to move forward in the relationship with Charlie. And then we get to see this really, really cute and endearing moment at the end with Nick and his mom, and trying to communicate how he feels about Charlie, how he feels about himself. So I just thought that was just really, really well done, and I cannot wait to dive into Volume 3. I don't know if I'm going to pick up Volume 3 this week or if I'm going to wait till next week. But the next thing that I am reading right now, which I think I'm close to 50% into it, is Does My Body Offend You? And so I'm probably going to finish that one up today. I'm listening to this one on audio. It is told in alternating perspectives of two girls who go to this high school in Florida. One is from Puerto Rico. She's displaced from Puerto Rico after the hurricane, and so she comes to America, goes to school in Florida, and she ends up getting really, really bad sunburn. So she goes to school, she doesn't wear a bra, and then the teachers are completely heinous to her because she doesn't have a bra on, and that her body is, she's made to feel uncomfortable in her body, basically. And so this other girl who is white figures out what's going on, and she says, you know, it's not explicitly in the dress code that you can't wear, like, you have to wear a bra or whatever the case may be. So she goes to school and she doesn't wear a bra, and no one notices because her breasts are smaller. And she, you know, there's some conversations too about race and privilege, and I'm finding that to be really, really intriguing because we have that, you know, second main character who's white who wants to help, but she doesn't understand in some ways, like, she's overstepping her boundaries, and that she has some form of white privilege. She's having trouble kind of getting that completely, like, she knows that she has white privilege, but she's trying to figure that out in the context of the story. So far, like, I'm really enjoying it, but I will do another check-in soon. I am almost at physical therapy, so I need to go ahead and mentally prepare myself for that. Oh gosh, y'all, I have literally been, like, working out every single day, every single day, and my body feels like garbage. I worked out 6 days last week, and I have worked out every day this week so far. So accountability, I'm doing good. Hey y'all, I am checking in, and it has not been, I haven't really been checking in often because of the fact that, like, I pretty much have been really, really busy with between, like, work and, like, taking care of certain things and trying to get myself situated. Like, I just have not had the capacity to get anything done that I've needed to get done this week in terms of reading. It just not has been a thing. I know that I did check in, and I told y'all about the fact that I had finished, I'm looking at my Goodreads because I'm like, actually, I don't really remember, like, what I told y'all I finished, and this is probably going to end up being, like, a shorter vlog because I have not really, like, I said it, it's going to be a vlog. Busted. I haven't really been reading much, so I did end up finishing Does My Body Offend You?, which is about two young girls. One of the girls ends up, she's from Puerto Rico. She ends up coming to Florida because of Hurricane Maria, and she gets displaced, so her family, they end up moving to Florida. And it's another young lady who is in Florida, but she had moved from somewhere up north, y'all. I can't remember exactly. I want to say Pennsylvania, but I'm pretty sure, like, my gut's telling me that that is the wrong state. But I did end up finishing that one. It's the young girl, and I'm horrible with character names, so nobody judge me. The young girl that's from Puerto Rico, she ends up coming to school with no bra on because she has severe sunburn on her back. And so essentially what ends up happening is she gets in trouble at school because her breasts are not in a bra, and I think that someone was able to see her nipples, and a teacher got, like, really, really offended by it and felt like she was going to be, like, not safe because her body was exposed. And so there's this great conversation in this book about how someone's body should not put them in danger, like how I appear physically And especially it delves into, especially brown and black women, how having curvier bodies or curvier features should not have to be contained in a way, or should not be dictated because they would make a young man, specifically talking about girls and boys, but I think just anybody in general, like nobody's body, especially amongst black and brown individuals, should be an open door for anyone to feel comfortable essentially committing sexual assault or any type of violation of the body. And honestly, that was what was being insinuated with our main character, is that because her breasts were not in a bra and her nipples were showing, that it was going to bring unwanted attention, and they were worried about like her safety. And so some great points about like, you know, boys or other people in general, not just boys, but people should know, like, you don't get to, you know, put yourself onto someone else's body, touch someone else's body without their explicit consent. And she really delved into, because with our two main characters, one being Puerto Rican and one being white, our Puerto Rican main character really delves into the concept and idea that the way that we move in, you know, just society is different. It's going to have to be different because people view our body shapes and our body types different. And it was definitely clear when the white girl came to school, and she didn't have a bra on either, but her body was shaped different. And a lot of times it had to be emphasized to her that being in a black and brown community, or being a part of a black and brown community, and having a body that may be curvier, is you have to worry about more people trying to control how you navigate your way through society because of the way that your body looks. I thought that the messaging was really great. I think it was really good too that there was this whole conversation about being a white savior, because our white main character wanted to come in and save the day, but she had to constantly be reminded, like, you're playing a very like white savior role. You want to save people without any thought or idea for how it may or may not impact the community. It's going to make you feel good, but you don't know what impact this is going to have and how this looks, and that, you know, black and brown people don't have a voice of their own, but they always need a white person to come in and speak for them, and that's not how things are. This is one that I really haven't seen a lot of people talk about, not in this community or even like the library world. It's not getting as much buzz as I would hope that it would get. But I'm telling y'all, like, I personally enjoyed it. It's a 4-star read for me. I did end up finishing The Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. 5 stars. It was so daggone cute. Oh my god. Like, I don't know how I didn't read this sooner. I know a couple of people that I follow have read this book. I know that Heather from Hia Tubes. Scratch that, Ashley. So I follow quite a few people who've actually read this, and I'm shocked that I just did not take my time to pick it up, because it was really cute. It's about a young woman by the name of Cinnamon. She runs a cinnamon farm. Haha. So I feel like it's like fantastical. It is fantasy, and they have this ceremony in this world where they are protected by this goddess. She protects them from the demons. And one time, you know, Sin is going home after drinking, and she tries to help this guy who ends up being a demon. And then eventually he comes to tell her, like, you know, hey, by the way, this person is not who you think they are, and here's actually what's been going on. So they have to journey together to destroy, I think it's a chalice that they're destroying at several different locations in order to get rid of this woman. I thought it was the most adorable thing between Cinnamon and this guy, Fallon, I think his name is Fallon. They have the cutest romance ever. He's so grumpy, but it's like he's grumpy, he's possessive, and not possessive in a way that like turned me off, because usually that can get kind of dicey for me, but it was just such a good balance. I loved how strong Cinnamon's voice comes through in the text. Like, no lie, I could tell that she was a black character and that she was written by a black person. Like, I hate to say that, but like I could tell, like I could just, her voice just came through the pages, and I loved it. I really resonated with her as a character. She had a great sense of humor. Her internal dialogue had me like rolling, like laughing. The steamy scenes were steamy, honey. Oh my goodness gracious, they were steamy. They were so good. It was so good. I wish there was like 1 or 2 more scenes in what we got, but I'm happy with what we got. But it was so chef's kiss. I loved every second of it. So I was happy that we were able to, you know, get whatever we were getting from them as a couple. And we get to see them progress as a couple. We get to see them go on this journey. There are a host of like really, really great side characters. I just found the book to be really just charming and just enjoyable. And I am excited to step into the next series. So I do currently have checked out from KU, which is marked as currently reading on my Goodreads, and tell you about these 2 things that I'm currently reading. Is Missile Foe, which is a Mead Realm tale. So the series itself is called The Mead Mishaps. The second book actually just came out, and I have that on my Kindle as well. But I'm excited to read Missile Foe. It's a short novella in between book 1 and 2. It's only about 50 pages long. I heard that one's really good as well. People just wish that it was longer, but I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it. And then the other one that I'm currently reading is Sister of the Bollywood Bride. So I'm excited to delve into picking up both of those. Sister of the Bollywood Bride, I'm actually almost finished with. This one is like a slower, almost, I want to say contemporary to a certain degree. I'm 72% in, and it really is just following a young lady who is, and I'm horrible at names, y'all know I'm horrible at names, but essentially just following a young lady who is responsible for planning her sister's wedding. Her mom has passed away. She's planning the wedding, and really what's so fun about it is that culturally, like, you get to see all that goes into planning the wedding, and you learn a lot about her family. It's a lot of different things that I'm learning about, like ceremonial stuff in terms of like cultural ceremonial stuff, and like the different attire that's worn. So if you're into stuff like that, like the very particular aspects of someone else's culture and learning like what goes into it, for me that's very, very interesting, because it's not something that I ever will experience because it's not part of my culture. But seeing this in someone else's culture, I'm finding it very unique. Outside of that, there's not really anything that really stands out about this one. I'm not even really truly invested in the romance that's happening, to be honest with you. I just think that the cultural aspects of it is probably what's keeping me going in the story. So if it's just kind of like my guess, it's probably will end up being like a 3.5 star read. But I believe this one came out last year, and I hadn't seen anybody's reviews on it that like I'm familiar with. I think a couple of my friends on Goodreads have read it, but nobody that I know that like was truly like gushing about it when it did release last year. So those are the 2 books that I'm reading. The Sister of the Bollywood Bride is one that I'm listening to an audio. Of course, the other novella that I'm reading is one that is on my Kindle as an ebook. Okay, so I actually wanted to do a small unboxing for y'all, and this is a box that was sent to me from Kim Bookmarks and Breadsticks, and they run a actual book subscription box, a food subscription box, and they reached out to me after watching my food truck festival video and asked me if I would like to unbox one of their boxes, and I said absolutely. So I'm going to show it to y'all. I actually have a code for y'all to use as a discount. I'm going to leave it down in the description box because I don't want to get it wrong, and y'all know me, I'm bound to get it wrong, so I'm not going to even try. My setup. So here, as you can see, this is the inside of the box. I haven't opened it. I mean, I took the tape off, but I don't know what's inside. So that's really, really cute. And oh, that's adorable. Okay, so Kim sent me a little note, which I'm going to save to read. But this note is really, I mean, like the actual design on it is really, really cute. Oh, that's cute. Okay. So this is a pamphlet that came in it that talks a little bit about the book box. Like I said, it's called Read It and Eat Boxes, and basically this is a book box which helps you rediscover the adventure and excitement of food with new stories around how your food is made, who's making it, and why it matters. I think that this is really cool that they have boxes that are themed around a specific food and or topic. It always includes a food writing book, like think food history, chef memoirs, and more, curated snacks and goodies from small businesses, and a $5 donation to fight hunger. So I think this is really, really cool that with, Each purchase of this box, a donation component goes to fight hunger, and they use money to help restock food pantries and help fight food scarcity. So some of the previous nonprofit partners that they've had include I Grow Chicago, Love Fridge Chicago, Feed More WNY, Feed, Friends of Night People, African Heritage Food Co-op, World Central Kitchen, and Big Table. That is amazing. I love that. So they have quarterly themes, which include spring fruits and seeds, summer coffee, fall cheese, winter sauces and spices. They have special edition boxes. One was tea, chocolate, charcuterie, truffles, and winemaking. That is so nice. And then they have blind date with a book. So I chose the blind date with a book box, which comes with one food themed book, and you get to choose a genre, and the genres are fiction, young adult, romance, middle grade, cozy mystery, and nonfiction, one snack from a small business, and a $3 donation to fight hunger. So I chose the blind date, and this is going to kill me. I am supposed to be on a sugar break because of my health thing that I'm doing, but y'all, I may just have to just like taste just a bite of this. So this is raspberry vanilla chocolate bark. If you can't see that, first of all, that looks delicious. And it's from Ticket Chocolate. It's fine milk chocolate and white chocolate swirled with dry raspberries and vanilla bean. Oh my goodness gracious. I don't know how I'm gonna make it. All right, and it also came with a bookmark. And then this is the book that I received. It's a middle grade book. Uh-oh, I threw something. Oh, it's a sticker. It's a read it and eat it sticker. That's really, really cute. And so this is a middle grade, the perfect recipe of love, friendship, food, and social justice. So I have no idea what this book is. No idea whatsoever. I haven't read this yet, and I've been meaning to read it. It's from the front desk of Zoe Washington. Oh my gosh, by Janae Marks. I have not had I didn't even know that this had a food element to it. I'm so excited to read this, y'all. I've been meaning to read this for so long, and I do not have a copy of it. And now that I do, I have no excuses. But thank you so much to Kim for sending me that box. It's amazing, y'all. And like I said, I will make sure that I leave the information down in the description box below. Like, that's an awesome book box that you get some amazing stuff, but it's also going back towards fighting hunger, which is a huge thing. I know it's a huge thing in communities that I work in as well. So it's nice to see like that this is, a thing that a company is doing. Like, I absolutely love it. So I actually have quite a few things that I need to do. I've got to head out. I went to go view a property today, and I am trying to make an offer on a property, so I have to take care of that. I did pick up a couple of things, like a book, like book haul stuff, and I'm going to show that to y'all probably tomorrow, because I'm not gonna have time to do it today. But I did get an art copy of Jasmine Guillory's new book. Or this is a finished copy, actually. I thought this was an art copy. This is a finished copy of this book. Okay, I thought it was an art. It is a finished copy of By the Book by Jasmine Guillory, which is already out. This is part of the Meant to Be series that Disney was doing. I had talked about this in last week's video where I read If the Shoe Fits. So I have this one. I heard that this one is not as good. I heard this one is not as good as the first one. This is based off Beauty and the Beast, but I have been amiss with Jasmine Guillory, so we'll see how I do with this one. But that's it for now, y'all, and I will check in later. y'all, so I wanted to do another check-in. I am currently reading Where We Go From Here. This is a YA realistic fiction book. The author is from Brazil, so it's translated. And this is the author's first and only book that I'm sure. I'm about 100 pages into it. It is really good. This was not on my radar to start this week, but I had checked it out from the library and I thought I would start it. And it is about these three guys. It's from three different perspectives. One of the guys had been HIV positive for about 3 years. The other guy just tested positive for HIV. And then there's another guy that's not HIV positive, but he had a relationship with one of the guys that was HIV positive. So it is such a heartwarming and also heartbreaking tale about the stigmas that still exist in relationship to HIV. And I'm flying through it. It is so good, so easy to read. There are a couple content warnings, of course, for what, of course, is going to be HIV discrimination and judgment, which is all that I'm seeing right now. In terms of content warnings, I'm sure there's probably going to end up being more just because of how the story is flowing. I think there's going to be more, but I just wanted to check in and say that I am currently reading this one. I finished Sister of the Bollywood Bride, but I am still gathering my thoughts about that one, and I will review it. I'm not sure how much I'm going to finish before the end of this week's recent reads. I don't know. I may end up finishing this one today. I don't know, because I have some other stuff that I have to get done today, so I don't know if I'm actually going to finish it. But I also am reading Memphis, which I'm listening to that one on audio, which I know that I'm not going to really talk about and won't finish until next week's recent reads. So I'm thinking that this is probably going to be the one that I'm heavily going to focus on today, and I may try to finish like one or two other graphic novels or comics and manga before this week's recent reads is over with. But I will let y'all know. I just had to pop in and like talk about this one, but I will talk about Sister of the Bollywood Bride. I will review that one and wrap that one up, and then we'll see what else I finish before I end this week's recent reads. Alrighty, y'all. So we're not going to talk about the fact that I've actually technically already filmed this final check-in, because yeah, we did. And so when I filmed it, I had just had a protein, like yogurt that was higher in protein, like a post-workout thing, and like it left a white rim like all around my mouth. It was disgusting. And I did not realize that that was a thing that had happened until I sat down to literally edit, and I was like, no ma'am, that cannot go out into the world. So here we are. I am here to talk about any final things that I did end up reading, because this is going to be my final check-in. This was not a heavy check-in based week because of the fact that I just had a lot going on. I say that a couple times in this vlog, where I have basically had a lot going on this week in terms of like workout schedule, kid, a whole bunch of stuff. It was a lot going on this week, and I did not read as much as I have read in the previous 2 recent reads. I think each one of those weeks I had read at least anywhere between 9 to 10 things, and this week I read a total of 5, I believe, which was, and 2 of them were carryover from last week. So one was The Romantic Agenda, and then I ended up finishing Heartstopper Volume 2, and My Body, Does My Body Offend You? And That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, which was also a carryover. And the 5th book that I ended up finishing was Sister of the Bollywood Bride, which is, I decided I'm going to go with 3 stars. I talked a little bit about this when I mentioned this a couple of clips ago and was giving kind of the premise of the book. My thoughts and my feelings really didn't change from that clip. I pretty much felt like it still was more so slice of life than anything. There isn't like a true like plot. I mean, there is a plot because she's planning her sister's wedding and she has some hiccups, but I just felt like we were learning so much about what happens culturally, traditionally, and it was a beautiful aspect of the book, but there really isn't much that happens. I really was not invested in the romance. I did learn quite a bit, not just about the wedding, but even there's some tension between her sister ending up marrying this guy, like when she gets engaged to him, because he's not Punjabi, and I did not know that there were some conversations that needed to be had about northern and southern Indians. I did not know that, so that was kind of an interesting element that I had no idea. I mean, most of this book I had no idea what to expect because I was learning so much, but I think just like story-wise and complete like crafting of the story execution, it just really didn't do much for me. So while I think I took so much away in terms of learning a lot about what goes into planning a wedding based on someone's personal or cultural traditions, it didn't do much outside of that. So I didn't really necessarily feel compelled to give it more than 3.5, well, more than 3 stars. I was debating on 3.5, and then I was like, no, this is honestly a 3-star book. Not the greatest book, but also not like the worst book. It's just a solid read, and if you're interested in those specific elements, I think it's something that people would be, you know, attracted to in terms of their reading interest. I did end up not continuing with Memphis. I know I said that in another clip that I was listening to Memphis, but I just wasn't in the mood for it. So I started Zachary Ying and the Emperor, I think it's a Dragon Emperor is the full title. I did start that, but I'm going to carry that one over into next week's recent reads. And then also, I did not get the opportunity to finish Where We Go From Here by Lucas Rocha. I'm not sure how to say his last name, but I read a little bit more of this evening and got a little over, I think maybe into like page like 230-ish, somewhere in there. And so I am not 230-ish, y'all. I'm sitting here like, oh yeah, I got 230 pages into this. I did not get 230 pages into this book yet. I'm not that far in. I am still only about like 138 pages in. That's where I'm at. I'm like 200. There's no way I read that much. So I'm still at the halfway mark with this one. It is really good. I will be finishing this one and we'll cover it in my next week recent reads. Also, in another clip, you saw me start What is the graphic novel? I had to figure out. I was like, it's sitting right here. You also saw me starting to read DC Pride. I did not get a chance to finish this one, so I will carry this into the next week. It is a compilation of stories written by DC writers that explores queer characters that exist in the DC universe, and I've read 2 of them, so I still have quite a bit to go. I did not get that far into this, but I'm looking forward to finishing this. DC has always been a little bit more forward when it comes to its inclusion and diversity than Marvel. Just how I feel like they've been doing. They've always done a better job at it, but that's just my personal opinion. But that's it, y'all. Like, this is a, not time-wise, I don't think this is a shorter one, but this definitely has a little less content in terms of reviewing because I didn't read as much this week. But as always, let me know in the comment box below what you've been reading this week. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and I will be back with another video soon. Bye.